decades, Bharat was treated as just a geography. It was considered as just another nation bound by borders on the map. A nation filled with poverty, laborers, corruption, and all other racial stereotypes followed. But this perception significantly shifted post-2014. Bharat is a civilization, an identity, and an ideology that has survived invasions, colonialism, partition, and every other hardship history could throw at us. A civilization that gave the world ideas when much of the world was still searching for them. A civilization that taught humanity to see the world as one family, to seek truth through debate, and to pursue progress without losing its soul. Yet, even after independence, Indians remained disconnected from this civilizational depth. We were told more about our poverty than our civilizational achievements. Narratives formulated in the West thrived in India, and the Congress peddled them further. An entire generation grew up handling an invisible burden, feeling that our history needed qualification, that our traditions needed justification, that our civilization was something to be explained rather than celebrated. After independence, India grew as a nation. But somewhere along the way, we lost confidence in our own civilizational identity. The story of the last 12 years is, in many ways, the story of reversing that mindset. It is the journey from civilizational hesitation to civilizational confidence. But what came before this wasn't easy. Remember the Setu Samudram case of 2007? The UPA government had filed an affidavit questioning whether there was historical evidence for the existence of Lord Ram. Legally, it may seem like an argument about archaeology, but politically and emotionally, millions of Indians saw something significantly different. They saw the Indian state appearing to distance itself from one of the most revered figures in the country's civilizational memory. It became the symbol of a larger problem, a governing mindset uncomfortable with openly embracing India's cultural roots. Terms like saffron terror were legitimized and made mainstream. For every ordinary Hindu, it felt like their identity was viewed with suspicion rather than respect. Physical symbols of power also reflected this inheritance. The ceremonial avenue in New Delhi remained Rajpath, derived from the colonial Kingsway. The canopy near India Gate stood empty for decades after the statue of King George V was removed. The colonial architecture remained, and along with it, the deeply ingrained colonial mindset. But then came a different approach, an approach that treated India's civilizational heritage not as a relic but as a source of national confidence. The transformation became tangible across places of immense cultural significance. In Kashi, the ancient Kashi Vishwanath temple was reconnected to the Ganga through the Kashi Vishwanath Corridor project. What had once been hidden behind congested lanes emerged as a grand spiritual complex. In Ujjain, the Mahakal Lok Corridor transformed the experience of one of Hinduism's most sacred Jyotirlingas. The message was clear. India would no longer preserve its heritage quietly. It would celebrate it openly. And nowhere was this shift more visible than Ayodhya. The same civilization, whose deity had once become the subject of legal controversy, witnessed the consecration of Ram Lalla in a grand temple in 2024. It was more than just the construction of a temple. It symbolized the restoration of cultural confidence. But the story was not limited to temples. It extended into the very language of the Republic. In 2022, Rajpath became Kartavya Path. The path of imperial authority became the path of duty. At India Gate, the long empty canopy received a towering statue of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. The vacant symbol of empire was replaced by an Indian freedom fighter. These were not merely changes in names or monuments. They reflected a larger effort to decolonize the national imagination. An effort to remind Indians that independence is not only political, it is also psychological. Yet confidence at home naturally translates into confidence abroad. India's growing global posture reflects this shift. Yoga, once viewed by many as simply a traditional practice, became a global movement through the International Day of Yoga. The G20 summit in 2023 showcased India not merely as a participant in global affairs, but as a nation capable of shaping them. The theme itself, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one family, drew directly from India's ancient philosophical traditions. For perhaps the first time in generations, India was not borrowing civilizational language from elsewhere, it was exporting its own. And this brings us to the most important part of the story, the younger generation. Because the true legacy of the last 12 years is not a corridor, a temple, or a renamed avenue. It is a mindset, a generation of Indians that increasingly sees no contradiction between modernity and heritage. A generation that can build artificial intelligence, lead global companies, explore quantum technologies, and still take pride in its civilizational roots. A generation that does not feel compelled to choose between progress and identity, between development and heritage, between the future and the past. That is the deeper transformation. From an affidavit that questioned a god to a temple that consecrated him. From Kingsway to Kartavya Path. From cultural hesitation to cultural confidence. From a nation uncertain of its voice to a civilization increasingly comfortable speaking on its own terms. Governments come and go, policies come and go, but when the self-image of a generation changes, history itself begins to move in a different direction. And that, perhaps, is the most significant transformation story of it all.